What's your middle name, by the way?
Don't try and take my bank information so I can send it out on the internet. What's your mother's maiden name? Give me your social.
High school mascot?
Dark was like the Goonies if Astoria had a nuclear power plant and was stuck in a German time loop or something.
Dark was lit as expected.
Dark is a show that I never expected to watch and then chose to watch it before bedtime, which was a mistake.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fallingtower's Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode of a series so that you don't have to on a channel that is basically 1 million subscribers strong. So everybody, give us a subscribe, give us a like. We are here, by the way. You notice Michael Kenyon Rosenberg is not here. He is recovering from the kidney transplant that you saw he was going to get last week when he announced it. And he's recovering beautifully. Everything is great. He's back home, recovering nicely, happily, eating carbs and all the yams that you could ever want. So big shout out to Michael Kenyon Rosenberg. He's probably going to be here in the live chat giving his opinions and telling us what a terrible job I'm doing and what a great job you guys are doing. So filling in for Michael Kenyon Rosenberg, co-host of the day, Dark. I tried to work something with Dark, but it couldn't work.
That's
Bridget
okay.
Fitzgerald.
I am your Mike today.
Dark mustache.
Does Mike even have a mustache? But now he does. I'm your Mike today. I feel very dark. Hold on. There we go. Now I'm super dark. There we go. Filling in, doing my best Mike impression that I can. Bridget Fitzgerald. Hello, everyone. Hi. Hello. And best wishes to the real Mike who is out.
The real Mike.
The real Mike.
Yeah. And our guest today is a meteorologist, as you may have guessed, because her name is Meteorologist Katie, but she also makes all kinds of awesome viral videos, and she's a wonderful internet personality. But again, she's a meteorologist. Meteorologist Katie.
Hello. I'm so excited to be back. I always love it when I'm on this show because it's always just so different each time.
Mm-hmm. So everybody at home, if you'd like us to review a show, just say WTF and the show in the comments below and tell us where we can find this thing. For example, if you wanted us to review Dark, which somebody did, her name was Eve England out in Wales in the UK.
Oh, I love Eve. Hi, Eve.
That's right. She loves you too. So Eve, this is for you. But what she did was in the comments below, she said WTF Dark. And then you can say Netflix so we know to find it on Netflix. WTF stands for Watch the First. Or you could say WTF Smurfs or WTF MASH or WTF All in the Family if you want to torture us, etc.
But you cannot say WTF My Little Pony because they did it. They finally did it. And they did watch the first My Little Pony, and it was the cutest episode.
Really?
It was
that
the
was episode
oh
number
my gosh,
74.
Now we've got a cuter one. Katie says up your game.
This is Little Dop, and you will see her meandering around the background the entire time. She is in the chaotic cat phase of climbing everything. So
which is their entire lives.
Show that on the internet. Yes.
My Little Pony was episode number 74. Everybody at home, check that out. There will be no cute kitten butt, but there will be nothing really cute actually on that show, but it was very entertaining.
It was very entertaining. I enjoyed it immensely. So.
Speaking of enjoying things immensely, it's time to enjoy this episode because we're reviewing Netflix's series Dark. So let's get into it. Please, everybody, make sure to give this a like and subscribe, and let's have some fun together because it's a fun day. It's 91 here, by the way, in LA. It's 91.
Yeah, rub that in.
Yeah.
It was 18 out here this morning with like a wind chill in the single digits. So, you know,
that's
you California people so spoiled.
Mm-hmm. So
We'll send you our tans. We'll box them up and send them out to you.
Thank you.
Enjoy that.
Yeah. Oh, it's time for our favorite game. My favorite game, probably Bridget's too. Definitely not Mike's favorite game. And it's what we do is we compare and contrast. Wait, no. God, see, we need you to keep me on track.
What is happening here?
We need you to keep me on track here. I went to game number 2. It's game number 1. We make predictions. Predictions.
There we go.
So,
time to tell the future.
We just predict.
That's kind of my job, but with weather, so I'll take it.
Oh yes, you're really good at this.
We should call it forecasting then, right?
There we go.
Yes.
All right. So this is our forecast. We predict if we liked it, didn't like it. We know each other pretty well. Bridget and Katie have known each other for like 10 minutes, so we're all set here. Here we go. I think, Bridget, I predict that you're about medium on this, slightly below medium on dark. Katie, I think you're just slightly above medium on this one. What do you think? What do you think, Bridget?
Okay, well, if we're doing this meteorologist style, then I'm gonna really
yes.
All right, guys. So I'm predicting that Ryan he was low at first, and then it was, got together and got a little bit more towards the end of the episode until it peaked out at a high of, I would say, like 8. He's at an 8 level for me. Meteorologist Katie, I would say that she started, really liking it, but then it ebbed off and went away to the east, which I think means that it went down. She's about a 6. She started out as a 10, went down to 6. So bring your coats there. Katie's getting at the cold shoulder.
Oh,
off to you, Katie.
Very good. Beautiful.
Bravo. Amazing.
Wow.
I don't even think I could match that. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Bridget, I think you definitely liked it, but wish that there were a few things that were better. So I'm going to give you like a 7-ish on it. And Ryan, I think you probably were middle of the road. Just like, I couldn't. Either way, I'll go with it. So I'll give you a 5, probably.
Mm-hmm. Now, Michael, who's checking this out in the chat, most likely is probably going to be making his predictions right now. So I'd be very interested to know what Michael thinks I feel about this, and Bridget and Katie. And he can make his own prediction about himself, but I don't know if that would work.
Yes. And I predict that he is in the chat right now. I won't know until later. So
there we go.
My prediction.
I predict that Michael also found it slightly below medium. I think he's going to be below medium, I think, for him.
Medium.
Okay. That's my guess. Okay. Now, everybody at home, you have gotten a few hints. We kind of, gave you some hints as to what we think. So you make your predictions either in the live chat or in the comments below. Do you think I liked it? Do you think Bridget liked it? Do you think Katie liked it? And for extra credit, do you think Michael liked it, who's out in the ether somewhere in the live chat? So make those predictions.
That Eve Ensler liked it. Like 100% probability that Eve loved it.
We'll see.
That's my guess.
I think so too, though.
Oh yeah.
While everybody's making those predictions, Bridget, if you are ready,
yes,
it is time for you to tell them what this series is actually about.
Okay. This series is actually about, ooh, man, oh man, a family saga with a supernatural twist. Set in a German town where the disappearance of 2 young children exposes the relationships among 4 families. In this specific episode called Secrets, the small German town of Winden is shaken by the disappearance of a teenage boy. While the townsfolk are occupied with secrets of their own, at nightfall, a group of teenagers attempts to recover something the missing boy may have left behind. And scene.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Bravo.
Excellent. All right.
I hope I did you proud, Mike. I hope I did.
Sure you did. Okay, so now we compare and contrast what we expected versus what we got, and people are going to start to find out if we actually did like it or didn't like it in a little bit. So, Bridget, before you watched Dark, before you watched this first episode, what did you expect, if anything?
Before I watched this episode, I expected something supernatural. I expected it to just look dark and be about dark material, like whether it's like murder or just like some sort of mystery, some sort of suspense. That's what I had coming into this, because I really knew nothing about this show. I was surprised that when I started typing in the letter D, that it was one of the first things that showed up. I was like, man, I'm really in the dark on this. I am the last one on this train to watch the dark show. So sorry about that, but that's what I was expecting, was super suspense or some sort of murder thing, and then supernatural stuff, just because I know what people who watch the show, who watch the WTF podcast, tend to lean towards, is like sci-fi or like supernatural stuff. I feel like I watch more sci-fi or supernatural related things due to this wonderful audience than I would. Right. The rest of my life is spent watching Great British Baking Show. So thank you guys for really making me expand my horizon.
WTF, Great British Baking Show. What was that?
Yes,
it was
Great British, super cute.
Oh, no.
Man. I feel like stuff. Michael and I have talked about that before, but yeah.
Sounds familiar. Yeah. And you also mentioned Dark Materials. And I do want to point out his Dark Materials. We reviewed that. That is episode number 52. Sasha was our guest. Michael, Sasha, and I reviewed it, episode number 52. So check that out if you like his Dark Materials, or if you hate watch it and want to find out if we did too. But Katie, before you watched this first episode of Dark, what did you expect?
Just running off of the title, because I never look up the synopsis or anything, which I really should. Just looked at, I was like, okay, dark. And then I click on the thing and it started playing like a little pilot trailer. I was like, oh, this is going to be like dark blue hues, like kind of what new Star Trek is like, just kind of the lights are brought down, not quite as colorful. And I instantly thought like horror, like Pennywise sort of thing. And I didn't think that it would be much other than like a scary horror TV show, which is kind of starting to play out like that.
Well, I'll tell you what I expected. And I agree, Katie, that every time afterwards, when we're recording this, I always think I should have read the synopsis. I should have read, the whole thing, because I never do. I like to go in blind. I like to go in the dark. And so I didn't know anything about this at all. I mean, the title Dark, okay, it's a 4-letter word that ends in K, whatever. I just, I figured it was going to be sci-fi or supernatural, I mean, what do I know? I really didn't know anything about it. I had no expectations. I think Michael said when we spoke, I think he said something like it's a thriller or supernatural thriller or something like that. But yeah, I didn't know anything about it. Eve thought that we would enjoy reviewing it, or thought that she would enjoy watching us review it. So that's good enough for us. And if you'd like us to review something, don't forget to make that suggestion. That's what I expected. But Bridget, what did you actually get upon watching the first episode of Dark, entitled Secrets?
I got immediately the impression that I might have the gift of ESP, because I got exactly what I expected. I was like, wow, self high five. Like, that was great. I thought that it would be kind of supernatural. And you know what? It was. I didn't expect it to be German, but that's where we were. And it was so German, guys. It was a very German show. And that's what I got that I was not expecting. I didn't see that one coming, but it was dark. It was supernatural. So yeah, it definitely juxtaposes against my Great British Baking very well.
What about you, Katie? What did you actually get? Feel free to be honest.
I actually got a show that actually gave me nightmares.
Yes.
Oh boy. Like
Mission
I said,
accomplished.
I got your text. You're like, hey, you should come on. We're going to be doing this. I was like, oh, okay. Watch it the night of. Hold on a second. I have to go to bed now. Yeah, genuinely nightmare inducing stuff because it was like, dark and creepy and eerie. And then you add in just like the fact that children go missing and all this stuff. And I just, it scared the living daylights out of me. So it lived up to the horror aspect that I had. But still, the sci-fi element too is pretty cool. Like, what's causing all this to happen? Is it some nuclear squirrel or something? Who knows?
Okay.
Could be.
Okay. Well, I too, like Bridget, was like, oh, I didn't expect it to be a German show. And it was kind of like a slow reveal for me. Like when it first creeps on and it says, like it had like the letter written in German, right? But I put the subtitles, so I try to catch everybody's names. And it subtitled it in English. And then there was something else that made me, I was like, oh, wait, I hope this isn't like in a different language. I hope this isn't in like German, you know what I mean? And then there was something, I think it showed the person's name on the letter or something like that. And it was like some German name. I'm like, okay, German name. I'm like, okay, there's still a chance that it's just an American show that like takes place in Germany and they'll be speaking English, but there'll be like German signs or something. And I kept rooting for it. And then no, it was
Look,
German
Albert
thing.
Einstein did move to America. So yes, I could see it where you were like still fingers crossed after that Einstein quote. Like it was
that's what it was. Yeah. The Einstein quote was written in German and then it was translated. So I got a German thing. And, honestly, the show should have been called Dork because, I was pretty bored. It was okay. I mean, whatever.
In a sense, as long as I sit here on the poster, it looks like it could be Dork.
Yeah, you're right.
My head is the O.
Here we go.
My head is the O. Wait, hold on.
I'm still not entirely sold that mine isn't just backwards. So
there we go. Perfect.
Yeah.
There we go.
I don't know. The German thing. Okay. Here's my first qualm with this show. And I don't blame the show for this. It was very hard for me to know who's what and who's who, because number one, it feels like they introduced like 15 characters. And number two, they all look the same to me. And in America, we have the benefit of like, oh, okay, there's a black guy, there's a Hispanic lady. Okay, there's the sweet Asian couple. And there's all these different things. There's the blonde guy and the brunette and all these things. But in Germany, in this little village, now, of course, that's authentic. Of course, it's a bunch of Germans in this little village. And so, sure, yeah. But then I'm like, dude, you got to give me somebody with like a bun in her hair and then a guy with like a shaved head or somebody with a tattoo on his head. Or it's just anything that I was like, I couldn't tell if I was being introduced to somebody new or if this was just one of the other 10 people that were introduced a few minutes ago. I could not keep up. And there were all these names.
I agree with you. Yeah. With the two high schoolers, when they first had like the guy who's like, who was smoking pot and like the other girl comes out. I thought that was the son the first time. Like I was like,
I still don't know who it is.
The son that we just met. No. He's a different dude. He's a different dude. The one who was the older brother. I know there were a lot of pasty people all in one place. I know it's very difficult, but they definitely, first off, they needed a trip to the beach. But then secondly, they were very,
those famous German beaches that they have all over.
All those German beaches, it's not called German beach cake. Like it's
there
German
we go.
Forest cake. Black Forest.
Well, it also made it difficult because all the voiceover people, the dubs, they all sounded similar, and their tone and their inflection was all the same. I was like,
oh man, I didn't even check out the dub version. I was in German the whole time. I was in German and reading. I was reading like the subtitles.
Oh, I didn't even know there was one. I only heard the dubbed version. I did not know. Wow, that's torturesome.
I think that no, it was fun. Never stop reading, never stop learning. But I definitely enjoyed it. I think because I had just watched Squid Games, so probably that's why. And I preferred to watch that like with the original actors and then read the stuff just so I get that full experience.
Well, you know, with Squid Game, by the way, we reviewed that. That's episode number 85. Check out our review of Squid Game. That was also, look, it's all Korean people in Korea, shot in Korea by Korean people, but there were less characters introduced and they were introduced in different type of settings. So it was easy to follow along. You knew who everybody was, you know, whereas this one, I was lost.
Tattoos and stuff in that one. Like,
and there was one with bleach blonde hair.
Yeah.
And then they were in a different setting.
Every single tracksuit had
that
numbers
helps.
there.
If these guys had numbers, it would have helped.
Numbered tracksuits for the people in there. That's what you really wanted here.
Yeah, that would have definitely helped. So it made it tough for me to really grasp what was going on. By the way, with the overdubbed version and the subtitles, because I always have the subtitles in the closed captioning anyway, just so I can catch the names and everything that they say. It's always so fun, because same thing with Squid Game, to hear the dubbed version and see how differently it's translated in the closed captioning. So the captions are totally different than what they're saying in the dub version, because it's just a funny little thing that I do when I'm bored on a show.
Did you happen to notice that the American dubbing or the English dubbing was adding way more swear words than just the subtitles originally in the episode? It's like, what the heck? They're German. Why aren't we're out swearing?
Look, you gotta effing say it the way effing Americans effing want to hear it.
Yes.
Okay. So
just don't fucking say the fucking F word.
I actually say fudge all the time.
Me too.
It's due to habit. And then my fiance Brian's always like, watch your mouth. Like,
yes.
I just naturally do it like that. So sorry, I'm the fudging problem here.
No. See, I'm always terrified that I have a hot mic on and then it somehow would go over air. So
not this week. We usually do.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
He's probably really happy about that. That's another prediction. He's really happy about that. Right now.
Chuckling behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
So happy.
I don't know. What did you guys think about? Okay, the characters were tough, probably tougher for me. What did you think about the actual plot and the story?
Ooh. I was so confused. So immensely confused.
Katie's got her own board that's like she's tacking different things to it. Where she's got like lines here.
Whose kids are whose?
She's got a whole CSI moment happening.
I spent half the episode thinking that the kid's dad who hung himself was the kid would grow into that guy and it was a time loop. I don't know why. I'm just like, I was so completely wrong.
That Einstein quote really throws everyone for a loop. Like that Einstein quote really set you off thinking that one thing was going to happen and it's all like backwards and forwards. And then like when they showed all those creepy photos of like the people and I was like, ooh, are we going to meet them when they're old, but then they'll be young, but then they'll be old. And I had all these thoughts in my head about what could possibly happen. And it did not work out the way I thought it was, at least not in this episode.
So, you gotta just kind of like halfway through, I turned off my brain. I was like, you're just gonna watch it for what it is and you'll put it together at the end.
Yeah. Nice. You're like, just sit back and enjoy it. Just see what's happening, soak it in, and then we'll detox and explain what happened later. Yeah,
exactly.
I definitely thought that the creepy kaleidoscope credits were super German. I was like, you can't get more German than this. I feel like that was like
Krampus.
Yes, Krampus. It looked like what's his name? Dieter from Saturday Night Live, who's like
yes.
my character.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Yes.
I just realized something.
What?
So since we're reviewing a show called Dark, I was like, oh, I should wear a dark shirt to match it. I'm like, oh,
and
how about
we all are.
how about how about this awesome shirt that has one of my favorite
Ooh.
bands called Rammstein, where the lead singer comes out on fire, and I just realized, I'm like, wait a second, they're
Nice.
You're
German.
super German.
And I
You are so German right
I
now.
only did it because
You
I thought it'd be
are
a cool
so
shirt.
German. Whoa.
And
Your
I didn't even make
subconscious
the
is really
connection.
guiding you.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It was when
I
you said
definitely-
Dieter, it made me think. I
Yeah.
was like, oh wait, this is
You have to
actually
get it all
German.
together.
My Rammstein
Yes,
shirt.
yes. I definitely was making notes like you, Katie, while I started
Yeah.
watching this. And then eventually I just was like, no. Like
Yeah.
at a certain point, I was just starting to write notes. And here's one of my literal notes. It was like, I'm not getting any schnitzels or brats yet. So Germany, where you at? Like, that was
There you
a
go.
note.
Yeah.
I was just
Exactly.
waiting on it. I was like, let's get the German going. And then the creepy kaleidoscope happened. And I was like, check. So good.
My notes are just me trying to figure out who's what and what. I don't even have time to make cute jokes. I'm not good enough for that. I'm just like I'm like, there's Magnus,
Aw.
there's Mikkel, there's Ulrich, there's Martha, there's all these people. And I just kept saying there's like the main kid, right? That went down and was calling for his mom while she was humping this guy that was cheating on his wife or whatever.
Yeah.
And this main kid,
Well, he was humping
On
his
her. Get
job.
your details right.
I never
Yes,
caught
yes,
his
please.
name.
Please.
I just
Be
kept calling
factual.
him dude. And I was like calling him dude, but then there was
Police
other
dude.
main dudes.
Police captain dude.
Yeah, but then there were other main dudes. No, the kid. And so I started calling him kid, but then there were more kids. And then there was an even younger kid introduced. So I'm like, what is this guy's name? And it wasn't until the end, the credits, the first name that flashes, I assumed was him. And his name was actually Jonas. And I was like, well,
That
wait.
is Jonas.
But
Because I remembered it because of the Jonas brothers. So see, I have that
Really?
to help me out. I was like, oh, that's easy. He's like the Jonas brothers. I was like, interesting. Is that a first name? But then it's a last name. I had a whole moment and I was like, pause. So I definitely went backward and forward in time for me, just going backward to rewind the episode to see what I had missed and then going forward to where I was.
that
Yeah,
helps.
I definitely
me
went
with the-
backward. Go for it.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, see,
We're
yeah,
so
go for it.
polite. We're so polite. I went backward to see what day it was. Because remember they flash a date and then they flash another date. And I was like, okay. So it starts out on June 21st, 2019 and says, don't open before 10:13 p.m. November 4th. And then it said secrets. And then it was like November 4th. And I was like, how long has that been? So I was like, pause. And I like put it into a Google thing. And I'm like, 136 days later. And I was just like, I've been making notes. And then I went back and I was like, okay, now I can go. I like part of my brain was like, I will not be satisfied until I know how much time has passed between these two events. So yeah.
There was one thing I had to check like that too. It was the second I pushed play on this and I was like, oh, what's the title? Secrets. And I was like, oh, Dark Secrets. And I stopped and I went back to the episodes page. I was like, I wonder if everything is just one word, like dark secrets, dark materials, dark, but it's not.
Dark chocolate.
Dark
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
But that was before I found out it was German. And of course it wouldn't be German because that wouldn't, their terms, dark something or other, wouldn't always fit with our terms of dark something. So
Yeah.
tried though, would have been cool.
It's true.
So it was Jonas. But the reason I was so confused with that is because it seemed like they were saying like, oh, well, what happened with Jonas to the girl? And she's like, oh, we could talk about that later. But I'm like, I thought that was Jonas that was asking that. And I just, those love triangles, I'm so lost with those.
I will tell you what, okay? This is what I see. This bothered me. His schedule was so messed up. If his wife is the principal, which I'm assuming she is, why doesn't he just wait until the kids and her go off to school? Then he doesn't have to worry about coming back with bread from the bakery. Like, you just send him off to school and then boom, you have the afternoon to make whoopee. Like, there you go.
Wait, whose wife is the principal?
The cop who's banging the widow, Jonas's mom.
Ulrich, right?
I don't know. I don't know their names.
He
but
was the
cop who's
only
banging
guy
the
I could
widow.
remember because he was the only guy that looked different. Him and like a long-haired guy, but who was Eric's dad. But I thought Ulrich was the principal because they said something about the principal, and so I
No.
thought he was that.
And then it was the lady.
the lady, the mom is
wow.
the principal because she's running the PTA meeting that we see in the end of the
Right.
episode.
And
So
okay, that
she's the
which leads me to
principal.
my next question, which is, have we ever clapped for a principal before?
You
that
know
was-
what? We should.
Yeah.
When
I
when she
I'll tell you
came
what-
up and they all started clapping, I'm like, what is she, what's going on here? Like, I didn't understand it.
I
They were
clapped for one
applauding.
principal in my lifetime. She was my elementary school principal, and we raised enough money in a fundraiser that she had to kiss a little pig, and we did it out on the playground. It was this baby pig, and she kissed it. And then the second she did, lightning struck nearby and it caused the power to go out. So we got to go home early from school and we all started clapping. To this day, I think she's a witch.
Yeah.
And that's why you became a
Checks out.
meteorologist.
Checks out.
Yes.
Yep. Mhm.
I need to know how to get school to be canceled every day for the rest of my life.
Yeah, fantastic. Meteorologist Katie, you tune in and she's
Yes.
like, it's snow again. And they're like, it's not, it's summertime. You're like, nope, gotta go home. Gotta go home.
Bye.
Bye. Enjoy. Man, oh man. I definitely agree that it was a lot of characters to get introduced to in this episode. I definitely agree with that. I also feel like there was a lot of like people getting in everybody else's business, which is such a small town like way of life. Like his friend got his love interest. I was like, dang, like that was my
That's
note.
some
Dang,
bull.
DAN. Like not a great friend. I mean, I honestly was like, because he's set up like that, and because it's kind of a freaky tone, I thought that guy was going to get his comeuppance and get eaten by the monster or whatever. Whenever
Kind of hoping he would.
Yeah. You know, if you're following like scary movie logic, it's the person who doesn't do the right thing who gets like eaten, not the little kid who's like doing magic tricks at the table.
And can we talk about how they kept hitting him on the head? I was like, stop, you're gonna hurt him.
Didn't one kid also like push a girl to the ground too? The girl that had the weed, he was like, he pushed her for the weed. And it was kind of like, okay, and now I have the weed. I was like, what the hell?
That's why you kick him in the nuts and you
I had to
walk away.
rewind it to make sure I saw that right.
Yeah, and I honestly thought she was going to be whatever came out of the cave's first victim because it was all shot from the cave POV. I also was like getting such trippy like echoes of Palm Springs. Do you remember that movie? They had like a freaky cave that had like, well, if you ever have a chance, treat yourself. It's a Hulu movie. They have a cave where they time travel and they keep going into the cave. So I was getting serious like issues from, I was like, is this just a thing now? There's magical caves in the world. Like, why is this the second magical cave I've seen in the past 5 years? I was like, I did not realize. Okay. Look into that. Note to self.
I don't think it's just now. I think we've always had magical caves, right?
I mean,
No?
I mean,
probably.
There was another part that made me kind of that I had to like listen to twice to make sure I got it right, was when the guy was calling the girl and he was like, hey, you want to meet me in a hotel? And she's like, maybe. And he's like, well, I got a lot of takers or something like that. I was like, ew, what? I'm like, did I hear that right? I mean, I get that there are some guys that are like that and, whatever, that's cool. But I think it was just weird that the way it was delivered was that I don't think they meant it wasn't written in a way that they were meaning to show him kind of like as a skis ball. I think they really thought like, hey, this is a fun, he's a cool guy. Like you should like him because he says stuff. And I was just kind of like, I don't know if that would fly.
I think it's like called negging. It was part of tips for getting ladies to like you in some black book. I don't remember what it was, but it's called negging. And it's supposed to make you seem like a cooler guy, but it really does not as you
like negative, like something negative.
Yeah, like sitting her down, negging her.
Oh, how sweet.
Interesting.
Like, it's like pulling pigtails on the playground in a sense, but to a grown-up. But also it made you not like him, I think, as a person. It came off like, wow, this guy.
Which is
it's always
bad.
Pretty bad when you root for them to be eaten by a mysterious cave being.
Yeah, a mysterious cave being you can't see. So my mind gets very creative. It's like, this thing's gonna be terrible. So
Yeah, it's too bad because I thought, I mean, I wouldn't say that he was my favorite character because I don't think I really cared about any of them. But like he was certainly the one that I kind of latched on to the most because he looked the most different. Like he was just a different everything. All the kids, no chance. But he was different. He was tall. He had like a really interesting like face. And I found myself when he's driving by himself, I found myself kind of looking at his face and being like, I wonder if he's like, you know, the Burt Reynolds of Germany or the, you know, the Al Pacino of Germany. You know what I mean?
Who
like
can be
like if he's like some known famous, and I was like, he's got this interesting face, you know, that maybe he's like a big deal, you know, he's like a big deal in
such chiseled
Germany.
features.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Did you guys have a favorite character?
Honestly, I wrote in the notes, I was like, Michael, who was the kid, Mickle, was such a cutie. I'm bummed. I was like, what? I took the one kid that I was like rooting for. I like the little magician. I like magic tricks. I was like, no.
No, he was such a cute kid. I'm like, of all of them, I sympathize with him. He has to put up with all this crap.
Yeah, and then I don't know if he's going to end up in that weird 80s room with Eric, the boy who's missing. The one that's probably the only person Ryan can tell apart because he's got red hair.
Yes, and they're about to kill him. They're about to
kill him. The only ginger in the village.
Wrapping him in. The only ginger. They took the only ginger away. Rude. So sad. It's so sad.
Yeah, they're about to kill him. And I think we're going to see plenty of Mickle because I think he's going to be in his place. And he's going to be like the tortured kid. Do you think that
means that he's going to get killed? Or do you think that that's some sort of time machine? Like, I had a lot of questions.
I think it means that he's on the chopping block, but that he won't die. I think he's just going to be like a kid that lets the audience in on what's going on the other side of things, on this, the torture chamber or the crazy side or something like that. Because remember, the kid is the magician, right? So there's got to be something to that. Either he's able to understand his captor's tricks, or he's able to use his tricks to sneak out, or that's gonna come into play for sure.
I don't know about that. Like, remember when he was asking him how he did it, like as if to invite him to talk more about magic? He was like, it's not about how, it's about when.
Yeah,
and I feel like that means that it's more about the time travel of it to me than it is, or perhaps the back and forth, like all of our weird kaleidoscope images. There's something that's happening in this weird time capsule room that's set to pop music and a weird bunk bed situation. Like, I don't know what's happening here, but I feel like that is more of what's happening in this show, but I don't know.
I kept waiting for the time travel stuff I kept trying to connect it. I kept trying to say, oh, now the time, and then no. Okay, well, now the time travel is going to get no. But it's going to at some point.
You know what was such a tease? That freaking letter, that fudging letter, guys.
Yes!
Like, what? Like, we didn't get to show us what the letter is. Have her read it out loud, or at least just respond with a single word, like, oh no, really, the children, or something. Like, just give us a hint. Like, don't just keep it to yourself. Why did we keep following you? Like, why were you torn out of that photograph? I don't know who you are, lady. I want to know. So,
that's a really interesting point, because I think personally, and this is totally subjective, for a good pilot, especially when it's like a mystery, whether it's a mystery a minute like Lost, or whether it's like a whodunit, what you do in that first episode, I feel like you need to have some reveals. You need to say, here are 2 or 3 or 4 mysteries, and then you reveal 1 or 2 by the end of the episode, but then it opens up another mystery, or it adds more questions. Whereas this one never answered any questions. And it would have been great if we got one thing answered. I guess we found out where the redheaded kid is. I guess that was the one answer that we got.
It doesn't really count.
You got to give the audience some kind of win, some kind of thing where they go, oh, like, it's kind of stimulating. They go like, oh, that was, that's interesting. Now I want to learn more. But we never really got that. And I was hoping to see what was in the freaking letter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think that our access denied to the letter is like really rude. Do not approve.
Exactly. You shouldn't get offended while watching a TV show. I was offended that they didn't let us know.
Really?
Like, come on. I
Really?
stuck through this whole episode and you didn't tell me? Come on.
Why was 1013 important? Is it because that's when the monster came out? Why is the old man in his jammies? What does he know? Who's the kid with the Walkman? We have so many questions. Give us answers to one at least, other than just Eric somewhere. Like that doesn't answer a question. That's like the most basic.
That adds more.
Yeah. Where is somewhere? Is it in the now? Is it in the then? I don't understand.
I'll tell you the other thing that was confusing with that is I kept thinking, okay, when they said every 30 years it repeats itself or something, I think I remember them saying 30 years, especially
33 years ago.
Yeah, because the kid was caught in a place that was clearly in the 80s because he's watching MTV and there's You Spin Me Round, whatever song going. And then apparently some German 80s song that we're supposed to recognize. And like, nice try, guys. We don't know it, but we could tell it was 80s. But then I'm thinking, okay, so does that mean if it repeats itself, right? That means every 33 years that somebody disappears or some event happens. Then the confusing part to me was there were two kids that disappeared in 2 weeks. There was Eric and then the kids. So does it repeat every 33 years or does it repeat for 33 years and then it repeats again in 14 days? And then, like that kind of threw me off where I was trying to figure that out at the end. Like, wait a minute. Well, 33 years ago, did it happen twice as well? Or was it like a whole string of events 33 years ago?
Yeah, like an outbreak kind of a thing. It happened all at once and then not again. And then all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the movie It, read the book It, and watched the other versions of It. I'm very terrified by all three episodes of It. But I will say this, that in that situation, in that Stephen King scary novel / made for TV movie / made for movie, It definitely is a series of events that continues to happen like a few decades later. Like then that series of events happens again. So I could see it as being part of a whole series of events. So for me, it didn't jar me as much.
Bridget,
because I came to it from It.
Was there another time that you watched a Stephen King novel come to life on a television?
Why, yes. Are you trying to let me know what episode number it is? Because I don't remember which episode it was, but I feel like you're reading it right now.
Yep. Everybody at home, we reviewed The Stand with Bridget as our guest, and that was episode 43. That came out in January 13th of 2021. Yes. So check that out to find out if we liked it or if we didn't.
That was this year? That is wild. This year has been like 7 years in 1 year. Like, I don't understand. This year just keeps on trucking.
And it's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again next year, the year after that.
Everybody that's at home that's actually seen Dark, every question that we have, they're watching smugly. They're like,
they're just like, just sipping their tea, just like, this is my imitation of Eve Ensler.
Eve England.
Eve England. Yeah. Eve Ensler wrote the vagina monologues. Sorry about that. Eve England, sorry. But again, she's very funny and smart, and I'm sure you must be the same.
As long as they don't say the typical, well, you just have to watch it to find out. No.
Yeah. It's called the internet. I don't need to do that anymore.
Speaking of the internet,
yes.
It's time to talk about you, Katie, meteorologist Katie Nicolau. You're all over the internet.
I'm chaos.
For everybody that doesn't know yet, can you tell them what you do and how, as well as that, you've gotten multiple viral videos that have floated around the internet?
Yeah, so I think basically I make a bunch of videos that involve weather and forecasting and fun. But my favorite thing to do is make fandom forecasts, which basically I make a forecast for a fandom or inside of a fandom. And I love cosplay, so occasionally I'll add that in too. And I've had a lot of people really react to it. I mean, Mark Hamill himself commented on my Star Wars one, which I will never forget because he responded on Thanksgiving, or like when I was having Thanksgiving with my family, and I dropped my phone in my plate. So they won't forget it either. But yeah, there's been just a lot of amazing reactions to it. My Animaniacs one just hit like 3 million on TikTok or something like that. Wow. And that's one of the main platforms that I use because anyone can see it randomly. But yeah, I just share it all over the place, and the people who like those shows happen to find me, and they think, well, she's nuts, I'll follow her anyway. And that's kind of how we've just gotten to here.
That's awesome, man. Oh man, what was the first one that you did that was a fandom forecast?
Well, the first, like the trial run was for the kids cartoon DuckTales because I had gotten super into it. But the real first one was Star Trek. And it was before Picard came out. I was like, I got a uniform and I have the time. And so I threw it together. I mostly just make them to amuse myself. And then whoever else finds it funny can join along. But now it's just a whole insane thing that's taken off on its own.
Oh, I love it. So what are some of the costumes that you had fun making? Because you said you love cosplay.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. I currently spent way too much making a 12th Doctor cosplay from Doctor Who. I have that. I have a 13th Doctor. I got Star Trek. I'm working on a Star Wars costume. Just a ridiculous amount. I have a full body Lego man costume that is hiding behind the green screen. Yeah, it's built off the original patent from the original Lego man. It's a lot of work, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna work.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. Oh, Ryan's showing us.
Oh gosh, there's me.
Oh yes, yes, there it is.
Starfleet headquarters, 19 degrees. Yeah, she went all over. She went all over, to different known planets on Star Trek and said what their temperature was, but also made like a lot of funny quips, that Star Trek fans would get, like how Vulcan is super hot or Andoria's.
If you're cold, your tauntaun's cold, bring them indoors.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, and all of that is like fandom accurate, canonical, everything. I put so much research into it that it's kind of sad when it like just does when a video doesn't do well. It's like, but I spent time on that, and then it's off to the next one.
I mean, how many have you done that didn't make it? Because I only know the ones that did. Do you just do a ton of these, or are you kind of like, 4 for 5?
Well, there's a couple of them that got a lot of views, and then there's like my Hamilton one or my Pokemon one that didn't necessarily get as many views and just kind of were floating under the radar. But it's wait, I made my own weather pun. But it's I'm still working on a bunch of them. It's just like a matter of if the active weather is happening and if I have access to the weather graphic system to make a bunch from scratch, because I make them all, so it's just a mess.
Wow, good for you. Making all those graphics and things, like that's impressive.
I'll tell you, there's nothing else in South Dakota to do, so it's a good way to learn a new talent.
Oh man, I love it. Well, definitely check out what is your name on TikTok so I can go follow you immediately.
Oh, thank you. It's at weather_Katie, Katie. Okay. And same thing on Twitter and on Instagram and even Facebook for anyone who's still on it.
Yes, I love it. So Ryan, are you going to put these links in the video below? Are they
I sure will. Probably right Mike will.
There.
I'm still on Facebook. I'm one of the 19 still on Facebook. Isn't there like a new social media, something that came up recently that's just made just like MySpace? It has like the same layout. Did you guys hear about that? Anyway, so you got to get weather_Katie at whatever the hell that thing is. I forgot what it's called.
I got to get it on every platform, whether I use it or not. Yes.
TikTok, YouTube, which you're on right now. Just click subscribe. Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe button.
Add some comments.
Yeah, why not? Tell her if she did a great job. I'm sure that will make your life to get some of the people here to comment. I definitely have enjoyed meeting the people here and hearing their
Oh my gosh, yeah. The people in the comment section for the community are just amazing.
Like,
oh my gosh, they're so much fun.
So here's the thing, I found it. It's called Space Hay. And if this looks, Katie, you won't remember this, you were a toddler, but
Yeah.
Some of us might remember this. If you'll recall, it's like the exact same layout as MySpace here, which is really
Why
interesting.
did they do
That's what
that?
MySpace
Why
looked
would
like?
anybody do that?
I don't know, nostalgia purposes. There's Rick Astley never going to give you up here. I wonder if it's got a top 8 friends. No, not yet.
Not
So,
yet. Not
anyway,
yet.
that's
so sad.
So anyway, everybody.
I went to Rick Astley, the Rickroll video, and one of the top comments was like, what are they called? The things that you scan? A QR code.
QR code.
On a sweatshirt brought me here was one of the top.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh my God.
Like, that's hilarious. So hats off to all our really smart, funny YouTube commenters.
Here's a fun thing for anyone who needs to use it, because I have used it occasionally when a person asks me for my phone number. I'm like, whatever. There's a number you can memorize or just have in your phone that if they call it, they get rickrolled. It's a free number. Oh, yeah. And I love it.
Oh, that's great. I'll have to keep that in my back pocket. You all get my real one.
What is it though?
Yeah. Oh gosh, you just Google it. It's on my phone somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Look, a magician never reveals their secrets, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
The question is when? When did she give you that false number?
Now, speaking of when, it's time for something we affectionately like to call the terrible twos. Sorry, Mike's not here to say bottom line.
Yeah.
That's also his cue when he's editing to see he watches the karate chops, but it's not the bottom line now. It's the terrible twos. Now it's the final 2 questions of the show. The 2 most important questions. Everybody loves them. Boy, oh boy, are they fun. And it starts a little something like this. Bridget Fitzgerald.
Yes.
What's your middle name, by the way?
Don't try and take my bank information and send it out on the internet. What's your mother's maiden name? Give me your social.
High school mascot?
Okay. Bridget Ann Fitzgerald.
The Fitzgerald is all you need to know. Bridget the Fitzgerald. All right.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
How dare you? No.
It's Anne. On a scale of 1 to 10, Bridget, what would you give this first episode of Dark, entitled Secrets?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this one, I want to say a 9, because it really had me intrigued. I really enjoyed it, but I'm also, again, I always give myself, like, of everyone, I'm the Paula Abdul of the trio, who's always like, oh, you did great. You all were wonderful. You know,
yes.
So I am
the positivity.
I'm the positivity judge. So I give it a 9. I enjoyed it a lot.
Wowie.
I knew it. The 10 minutes of knowing you, I was like, she's going to go for it.
All right.
Katie, you're good at predictions. You are.
Let's see how good we are, Katie. Scale of 1 to 10.
2. And the only reason it's a 2 is because I was invested in if the kid is okay or not. I'll tell you what, I occasionally watch anime and like the dubbing over the mouth's not moving at the same time. I was like, okay, it's fine. It's animation. But for some reason, real life humans, when the words don't match up with the mouths, it bugs the daylights out of me. And it was so distracting the entire time. Aww. Couldn't enjoy it. And I find maybe I'll have to just read it with the subtitles on in the original voice.
I mean, if you want to get your reading on, definitely check out those subtitles. They are available. And I honestly never even thought to check out the dub. So now I feel like
I didn't even know there wasn't the option. I didn't even know that thank goodness.
I mean, if you really want cultural experience, you could put it to the Spanish dub with the English subtitles and then have the German in the background. Yeah.
Really get crazy with it. Really keep yourself on your toes.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to be more on the Katie side of this story here. I'm going to give it a 3, not because, because of all those things that I said. I try to look at everything
to this point.
I try to look at it objectively. Look, I like the authenticity. I like something that takes me away to a different place. But this didn't really do that as much as some things could have, because it was a German show for Germans. So they weren't trying to take us away to a different place because they're just like, hey, you guys know this place, right? We all hang out in the forest. This is what we do or whatever. It was okay.
It's a German thing.
It was fine. It didn't give me much. I will say that
it's German.
I will say at one point, I was just like, okay, is this thing almost over? And it was like just reaching halfway. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm going to die. Anyway.
I checked at the same point in time too.
I don't remember. I can tell you where it was in my notes.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Is this what happens when you watch the dub version versus the subtitled version?
Yes,
like,
so.
what is happening here? You
At
guys
least like
both,
the sub
were like,
version gives
"I'm
you
out."
something to read.
It does, but it won't give you access to that dang note. That's what it doesn't do. What it doesn't do is show you what's happening with that note.
okay. It was right after the girl said the nuclear power mafia keeps things secret, right?
Oh my
And then-
gosh. When she's like, I'm on a hunger strike.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I was only halfway. And the only reason I remembered Ulrich's name, by the way, is because that's the last name of the Metallica drummer. And he's really good drummer, Lars Ulrich. And
Nice.
so that's how I remember. I was like, oh, cool name. I didn't know it could be a first name too. Anyway, so it's a 3 for me.
I mean, we both were reminded of really great musicians. Me with the Jonas Brothers, you with Ulrich. You know, all
I'm
the
just
best.
really bad
musicians
with
of
music.
history.
Are there any bands with the word
I'm not
dark in it?
socialized with music.
Dark?
Oh, I'm sure.
I don't know. Dark.
Dark.
Band named Dark.
Mm.
I don't know.
No
Dark Side of the
cheating.
Moon by Pink
It's an
Floyd.
album. That's good enough.
An album. That's close. Come
Yeah.
on, that's pretty close.
Okay. So question number 2, and the most important question of all time. For the purposes of this podcast, we all had to watch the first episode of Dark. Now that the podcast is over and we're free to move about the internet, Bridget Fitzgerald.
Bridget the Fitzgerald.
Bridget
Get
the
it right.
Fitzgerald.
No,
Would you
because it starts with an F. You can only do the if it starts with an A, E, I, O, or U. I know that because I'm a Michigan fan, and the Ohio State University pisses me off. Sorry, go ahead.
That was in reference to Megan the Stallion, for everybody that knows that's paying attention to music. It following along with the music theme. So sorry, Katie.
Flashes of anger and violence.
Bridget, would you watch the second episode of your own volition?
I really would. I'm very surprised that you guys did not enjoy this. And again, I feel like I made the smart choice by really challenging myself to read those subtitles. So yeah, I would watch. I almost watched the second one before we watched this, but I ran out of time. So there we are.
What about you, Katie? I feel like Katie's almost considering it, but no.
Partially, I want to make sure that the kid's okay, so I might just watch like the finale, or I can just Google it. So probably
Is
not.
Kid okay?
Yeah,
Dark.
is
Kid
Mikkel
okay? Dark question mark.
Exactly. I think I could save myself a lot of binge watching with that. So probably not.
Yeah, it's a no from me. If you're the polar, it's a no from me.
Whatever.
What accent was that?
That was. I don't know. That wasn't German.
You do
That's all I
know. You do know it was Simon.
Oh. That's a no from me. That's a no.
That's a
all right.
no from me.
Nice. Well, that honestly, you are the Simon of our trio when it is you, me, and
Got the hair down. So yes.
I put my hair down to have some fun,
Yeah.
Let my hair down.
Yeah.
No, it's a no. It's one of those things where I would like to talk to someone like Eve or somebody that's watched the whole thing, and I could be like, so what's this? And what happened there? And what happened there? And they could just kind of tell me, and I can get that little nugget of satisfaction without having to sit through any more of this.
If you just want to tell Katie that the kid's okay, go to weather_Katie on her YouTube and just like write a note on one of her things. The kid's okay. She'll appreciate it. She'll say thank you. It'll be a whole great thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So helpful.
I
can sleep at night.
I'm here helping people help people,
Put it in Pig Latin to avoid spoilers too. She'll get it.
Yeah. How do you do Pig Latin for no or yes? They're all one syllable.
Oh hey, S-yay. Right?
Oh,
there we go.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
You have a H if it's a vowel. Is that not right, guys?
Oh, one.
I
It
speak
would be
so
one,
many.
right?
One.
SCA.
You could just
Well,
say
we
yes
just
or no.
lost everybody. Sorry, everybody. Everybody just
sorry.
disappeared.
If anybody wants to turn on subtitles right now, that would be great because we have gone into another language. And I suggest you do rather than hear us get dubbed over by some strangers. So
It's
YouTube
another
closed
dimension.
captioning is just a question mark.
Well, that's about it for us, everybody. If you'd like us to review a show, please be sure to say WTF in the show you'd like us to review in the comments section below and tell us where to find it so that we know whether we should go to YouTube or Hulu or Disney Plus or HBO Max or whatever. We're not going to go to like
Sail the high
channel
seas.
4. Yeah, we're not going to go to channel 4 or something. We don't know what that means, you know. But that's
it's
about
the channel
it.
between 3 and 5. Come on.
Not too bad. It's on the remote. It's just one button.
Just 4.
So what I'm trying to say is that this podcast was dark.
And I'm trying to say that this podcast was so German. So German.
And I'm saying that this podcast was fun as always. And I think I'll sleep better tonight.
So everybody at home, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, share this, and tell us what you want us to review. And remember what Michael Kenyon Rosenberg always likes to say. Oh shit, he's not here.
Watch the
You don't know.
things. And also sign up to be a living organ donor if you can, because you could save a life.
That's the one. Thanks for saving mine just now.